Hello, my fellow monster kids. Welcome to the podcast devoted to the classic and sometimes not so classic genre cinema of yesteryear. It's Monster Kid Radio. I am your rejuvenated host, writer, and producer, Derek M. Cook. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to take a week off. I am back, and I don't anticipate needing to take another week off anytime soon. Fingers and tentacles crossed. As long as I can book some more guests. I've got some openings I need to fill, so let me just say right off the bat, if you are interested in being a guest on Monster Kid Radio, drop me an email at monsterkidradio@gmail.com. Propose a topic or a movie or something to talk about, and if it's something that we can do, we'll make it happen. I think it'll be a good time. I've got some movies that I'm looking at right now that I'd really like to cover with some people, but you know, it's not about me. It's about you, the Monster Kids listening to the show. Thank you for helping to make Monster Kid Radio what it is. And what is it this week? Well, this week, we are announcing the winners of the 2022 Monster Rally Retro Awards, or what we call around here, the Rallies. Every year, we look at the previous year's monster movies and recognize the best movie, director, actor, actress, and monster, and we do it by decade. So we do the 30s, 40s, and 50s every single time we do one of these, which means this time around we would normally be looking at something from 1937 to 38, 47 to 48, and 57 to 58, but the 30s and 40s were slim pickings when it came to 37, 38, 47, 48, and it just was a rough time to be a monster kid or a fan of fantastic cinema, because there just weren't that many movies being made at the time. There are a lot of different reasons why, and Steve and I talk a little bit about it. Yeah, I said Stephen D. Sullivan. You know him, you love him. He's going to be on this week's episode of the show. Steve and I talk a little bit about this during the rally's announcements of the winners, but the bottom line is there was a lot of things happening in the world. World War II was behind us. The ratings boards were, well, I wasn't really called the ratings board back then, but the film boards were kind of doing some things. The UK wasn't letting horror movies come over. It was a weird time. So, the ballot this year was kind of weird too. If you head over to tinyurl.com/rallies2022, you can see the ballot for yourself. Now, I've had to turn on, quote unquote, the ability for you to vote, but we're not taking any more votes. I just had to turn it on so you can actually read the ballot and play along at home. Later this year, fingers and tentacles crossed, Steve and I will meet again to cover 1957 and 1958. And I suspect that ballot is going to be packed with traditional monster goodness, because the late 50s, prime time for a lot of awesome monster movies. So that's what's coming up this week. And to celebrate, we are playing the unofficial theme song for the Monster Rally Retro Awards. The song that you're hearing right now is Kashyyyk Beach Party. It is from the album Meanwhile in Mallorca from the band the Hattori Hanzo Surf Experience. I love this song. Heck, I love the entire album, which you can find at hattorihanzosurfexperience.bandcamp.com, although it might be easier just to look up the song Kashyyyk Beach Party. We're all nerds and geeks here. I suspect y'all know how to spell the word Kashyyyk. It's a Star Wars reference. Kashyyk. Beach Party. Go check out the album. Let them know that Monster Kid Radio sent you when you're done listening to this episode of the show. Now, it would not be an episode of Monster Kid Radio without all of the regular bells and whistles. And this week, Mark Matzke's Beta Capsule review, that's the bells, and Kenny's look at Famous Monsters of Filmland, that's the whistles. You've got that coming this week as well. In fact, why don't we go ahead and dive into that right about now?
I am Dr. Lee Cushing. Welcome to my Chamber of Horrors.
Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors is a monster rally novel in the tradition of the classic Universal and Hammer horror film. It's written by Stephen D. Sullivan, the award-winning author of White Zombie, Daikaiju Attack, Manos: The Hands of Fate, and one of the creators of the original Chill role-playing game.
This book recreates the thrills of the classic monster versus monster film. We've got vampires, werewolves, mummies, psychic twins, scheming madmen, and plenty of unexpected chills.
Now you can get Dr. Cushing's Chamber of Horrors in print, or for Kindle at Amazon.com and other fine retailers. Coming soon in other ebook formats. Find out more at CushingHorrors.com or SDSullivan.com, and support Steve's work through Patreon at HeySteve.com.
I do hope you've enjoyed your visit. Please come again, and remember, the chamber is always waiting for its next victim.
Hi, I'm Jeff Owens.
And I'm Richard Chamberlain. And we want you to join our club, the Classic Horrors Club.
Every month, Richard and I host the Classic Horrors Club podcast, where we talk about our favorite subject, horror movies.
Some of them are classics.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
And some definitely aren't.
What you see is real. What's done is done, and what I've done is right. It's the work of science.
But we love them all the same. We also have special theme months where we highlight the legendary stars.
And we head to the drive-ins of the past every summer for exciting double and triple features.
Hi, I'm Chili Dilly, the personality pickle.
And we even have occasional guests.
My obsession, and it is truly an obsession, I suppose, of Frankenstein, the True Story dates back to when it first aired in 2 parts on NBC in 1973.
So join the fun and listen to the Classic Horrors Club podcast today. Hosted by SoundCloud, we're available wherever fine podcasts are found. And for even more fun, check out the video companion on our YouTube channel.
And remember,
we sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. A monstrous menace makes off with the guest of honor at a birthday party attended by Ann Ury in Ultra 7, Episode 22, entitled The Human Farm. Ann notifies the Ultra Guard, who responds with an immediate investigation, yielding a series of strange footprints, which correspond to tracks found around the world. Ann's missing friend, Ruriko, is returned by her abductor, and she's found to be suffering with an unknown disease. While she's receiving treatment at Terrestrial Defense Force headquarters, an alien appears at her bedside, attacking Ann and Dan before being felled by a blast from Captain Kiriyama's pistol. An alien autopsy is conducted, and a horrific realization is made. For the Buriko alien species, the bodies of human women are the perfect incubators in which to grow spores to feed on. As a result of this discovery, Ann and Ruriko are quarantined, and the only option the doctors can suggest is to expose the women to radioactive ray Alpha 73. There are numerous problems with this suggestion, beginning with the fact that the ray comes from ore found only on Saturn. It's a 3-day trip to Saturn in the Ultra Hawk 2, and the lead doctor estimates the women have 15 hours to live in their current condition. Moments after this news is delivered, a fleet of Buriko flying saucers begins executing their plan to turn the Earth into a human farm. Episode 22 offers a solid snapshot of mid-series Ultra 7. The whole team is involved in the effort to stop the Buriko invasion and save Ann, with an emphasis on Dan's attachment to her. At the same time, we see Dan's unique predicament as one who cares for and depends on his squad, yet is set apart from them with the tremendous secret of his alter ego. After a number of episodes with rather involved kaiju battles, screenwriter Hiroyasu Yamaura takes things in a different direction, and while that means no monster fight, Ultra 7's powers are still utilized to satisfying effect. For Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
experimental plane faster than sound. Faster than time itself, beyond the time barrier.
Hello, Allison, this is Martin. Do you read me, kid?
Come in, Sands Control. Position 18, speed 10,000 plus, position 20, airspeed increasing. I think something's wrong.
64 years into the terrifying future. A beautiful, horrible cave world you've never dreamed of. A beautiful girl and love. Mankind was made sterile in a great cosmic plague. A new Adam and Eve are the only male and female left to repopulate the world.
I value my freedom more than this.
So you'll attempt this escape even though we'll try and stop you?
Yes.
The jealousy of a she-devil frees the bloodthirsty killer slaves.
Follow me, soldiers of revenge. I'll lead you to the captain, to food, to freedom.
The last survivors of the human race are doomed to murder in a killer orgy by vicious subhuman mutants. Will you die 64 years from today? We challenge you to see the most terrifying picture ever made. See the picture of your life or death.
It all begins as a summer vacation. A young family finds a beautiful old house. It could be the answer to their dreams.
So you are the people who want to rent this house?
Well, you mean it's $900 and then it's all ours?
Or the beginning of a nightmare. Burnt Offerings, starring Karen Black.
Are you actually trying to tell me that this house is responsible?
Oliver Reed.
This house is destroying us.
Oh, God!
Betty Davis.
This house is getting so cold.
Burgess Meredith.
This house will be here long, long after you have departed, you believe me?
Eileen Heckert.
When it comes alive, tell them what it's like.
Burnt Offerings. From United Artists. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Hello there, Monster Kid Radio heads. This is Kenny with a look at Famous Monsters of Filmland. In honor of today's Rally Awards show, we are going to look at the first awards show FM covered, which occurred in 1978. It appeared in issue 143 from May of that year, and it was written by Uncle Foray himself. Let's hear what happened.
History was made that night. Saturday, January 14, 1978, one night after Friday the 13th, and 45 years after I researched and published the first known list of fantasy films, a paltry total of 34 titles, from Aelita, the Russian silent Mars movie, to the Death Ray film with Tyrone Power's father, Without Warning, from 1924. 40 years later, due to the yeoman efforts of Walt Lee and the cooperation of worldwide assistance, the list had grown to 20,000 titles, including some titles that we hadn't known of, or hadn't existed in 1932. In between, I wrote letters to Hollywood producers and circulated petitions and created columns like Scientifilm Spotlight, Scientifilm World, Fantasy Film Flashes, etc., and even became an agent. My biggest book that got on the screen was This Island Earth. There were others in between, from Fiend Without a Face to Death Race 2000. It only took nearly half a century, after I reported an imaginary radio broadcast marathon called Science Fiction on the air, for it to come true on TV. The Science Fiction Film Awards. They were taped over a period of about 3 hours at the world-famous Coconut Grove, in the Ambassador Hotel, Hollywood, where 40 years earlier, as a young employee of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, I stood guard over the Oscars the year of the award-winning Gone with the Wind. Now it was the night of On with the Wand, a magic night of celebration with science fiction, fantasy and horror at last coming into its own, and being recognized by a telecast to 80 syndicated stations in the nation's major cities, plus overseas viewing around the world. Captain Kirk and the Burnt Offerings girl, Karen Black, were the master and mistress of ceremonies, and attendees at the gala affair got to see in person a galaxy of stars from Scientifilms and Imaginemovies. Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, and Tarzan were all there in the person of one single Superman, Buster Crabbe, and Buster, looking fit as a fiddle, got a standing ovation. Moses, in the person of Charlton Heston, parted the waves of humanity for God himself, George Burns, to make his way, slowly but surely, to the platform, to acknowledge his prophet. Octogenarian Burns, 81 years young, won an award as Outstanding Actor for his performance in the fantasy farce, Oh, God. It was a delight to see Ray Harryhausen acknowledged with a rousing ovation. And to see FM protege Rick Baker receive some more of the applause the monster maker so richly deserves.
Corey continued with a long list of other celebrities, including luminaries like Ray Bradbury, George Powell, and Christopher Lee. There were also previews of coming not-so-classic movies, including Star Crash, The Incredible Melting Man, Meteor, and The Fury. The big winner for the year was, of course, Star Wars, with Close Encounters of a Third Kind coming into a distant second. He concluded the report with this anecdote.
A highlight, to my mind, was Stan Freberg's presentation of Orville, the little green alien. Like Klaatu and Gort, Orville came bearing words of wisdom for humanity and a gift of goodwill. Orville offered us a new kind of atomic bomb, which Stan and the audience didn't think was anything we much needed, until Orville explained the quality that made his extraterrestrial weapon so appealing. It doesn't work. He explained that once a year his people ritualistically gather around the bomb and beat it with sticks and all kinds of nice favors come falling out, as from a Mexican piñata. What do you call that? Asked Stan. Progress, the alien replied. The audience cheered. Next year, same time, same magazine, The Further Adventures of the Science Fiction Academy.
That is all for this week's look at Famous Monsters of Filmland. We will have more next time. For MKR, this is Kenny saying adios.
Meet Jerry Landers, just an average guy. Married, father of two. Every day he drives his late model car to Food World, where he is assistant manager, in line for a promotion. Bright, personable, competent. Jerry Landers has every reason to believe he's a young man with a future. And he is, but it isn't at Food World.
Read this. God grants you an interview. It's a gag.
Pretty crazy gag.
Not what you expected, huh? Show him this.
Warner Brothers presents John Denver and George Burns in
Oh, God.
I thought you didn't believe in me.
That's just an expression.
I'm more than that. I want you to spread the word that I am. I exist.
And you think it's God?
Well, he thinks he's God. And I'm in no position to argue with him. I'm not a nut.
The ball is rolling.
Right over me.
Now watch over you.
Oh, no.
Jerry, are you seeing now that you saw God?
3 times, yeah.
3 times.
I can't make appearances all over. Don't you understand?
No, I don't.
People would be dropping dead from hysterics.
Can you sign this, please?
What if it were you? What if you were given a chance,
Jerry,
to meet and speak
up here
with God?
Let's go for a ride.
What would it take to convince you it wasn't a joke?
Change the weather.
Little rain?
Yeah, a small shower.
One small shower, you got it.
It's not raining outside. It's just in here. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Here it is, as seen through the eyes of Jerry Landers, God.
What would be the reaction of your friends and family?
You're gonna get God arrested.
We had the papers, a little TV.
I'm liable to lose my job. Now, I am not crazy.
Well, God may have been interested in talking to you as an assistant manager. Now, we'll just see how he feels about you as a bag stuffer.
And I don't need some child psychiatrist to tell me that I didn't talk to God, because I did.
Lose a job, save a world.
And of all the people in the world, why would he...
I am not crazy.
Pick you?
Want to try a little harder to get the word out?
Well, I'll give it another shot.
That's my boy.
Oh, God. A funny, feel-good sort of movie about a mixed blessing.
Magnificent. You've never seen anything till you've seen the sun through the rings of Saturn.
Astronaut Stephen West was returning from outer space. But something terrible had happened.
Remember now, his mind is so completely decomposed.
We've got to find him.
He's gonna need human cells to live on.
Stephen West had turned into the incredible melting man.
And the more he kills, the longer he's going to live. He seems to be getting stronger as he melts.
The incredible melting man is the first new horror creature. Come prepared.
So we're doing things a little differently today. We actually have Steve live on camera.
This is not something we usually do, and it's a big old experiment here, and I can't actually see what I look like right now unless I go to the Skype chat window, in which case I get to see me in a tiny little thumbnail up in the corner.
You look the most Steve I've ever seen you look, Steve.
Yeah. What can I say?
I don't know what that means, but so we're trying a couple of things. This is using some new software that I've been using for the regular stream, but this is the first time we've tried to do a like this with this software. So I had to tweak some things, and I can't see what the ultimate end result looks like. So anybody who's in the chat right now, as we continue, if things start to go crazy and things don't look right, sound right, or whatever, please let me know. I really can't monitor it and watch the sound and everything else at the same time.
I'm totally not sure which way to look, although I did manage to get the stream on my big television so I could see us, but only if I look over here. And I don't...
That's all right. I don't think and this is something I've noticed about myself too, and I think I need to change where I've got my webcam. My webcam is right here on top of my monitor, but all the action is happening right down here. So, and this happened when I'm on the stream, when I'm chatting with everybody, that's what I end up doing. And I feel bad because I want to be making eye contact, So it's just something I got to keep training myself.
Right,
keep
yeah.
looking at the camera,
I have that exact same thing. It's like, okay, I have to look down to read something. If I'm doing video, I'm like, okay, I'm looking down to read. Wait, I'm supposed to be looking at the camera. Wait, I'm looking down. And we're going to do that all today. So, because we've got the rallies to look at. And so there's stuff we have to read off of the screen, or at least refer to.
So speaking of the rallies, if you listen to this on the Monster Kid Radio, you're going to hear a version of this on the podcast stream that comes out on monsterkidradio.net probably tomorrow night, Friday morning. It may be a little more polished, might sound a little bit better, and you're going to get all the bells and whistles. Basically, you're going to get the theme song, the unofficial theme music for the rallies, which is the song Kashyyyk Beach Party. I love the music. It's very Japanese game show, and I think it fits for what we're doing here. What are we doing here? This is a live recording of Monster Kid Radio with me, Derek M. Cook, your writer, host, producer, and on my screen, I think he's on the right, I don't know. Next to me on my screen is Stephen D. Sullivan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I am on the left, your left, which is the right side of the screen.
So you're right here.
And it's weird because...
Right?
Our heads are about the same size, but I'm looking at a little thing that shows like much more of me, including my hands. So if I want my hands to be on screen, I have to kind of bring them in like this because, I talk with my hands.
So yeah, with the Monster Kid Radio thing that we're doing, this is maybe like the second or third time I've ever done anything like this. So hopefully it works out, and I hope you are watching and enjoying it. If you are new, please consider liking and subscribing. Certainly helps out the stream. You will be getting some ads if you are not a subscriber. That's just what Twitch does.
It is, and the cost of getting the stream without the ads is like it's $5, so it's like the cost of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, probably less. I haven't been to Starbucks in ages, so it's well worth it to eliminate I think it's 8 to 10 minutes of commercials you've got. Although you cut it back because they wanted to put 17 minutes of commercials or something like that.
It was crazy. That's insane.
Hey, it's like being on the networks, You have 43 minutes of show and 17 minutes of commercials.
Boom! Look at that. Tom from Go Forth and Game just did a subscription. Look at that. That's amazing.
Look at
Thank
that.
you, sir.
That's awesome, Tom.
All right.
Awesome.
So, what are we doing today? We are announcing the winners for the Monster Rally Retro Awards, or the Rallies, which is something that we try to do every year on Monster Kid Radio. Last year and a half has been really crazy for me, so things kind of fell behind. We are back on track, but not as normal because we decided to break it up a little bit. We had to break it up a little bit because 1937, 1938, 1947, 1948, slim years, man. So Steve is frozen up, which is something we're just going to have to deal with. So this is live. So, yeah. So Steve is back, kind of. He should be back at this point. Please bear with us if there are any technical difficulties. Thank you, Tom, for keeping us up to date in the chat.
Yeah, I guess that's probably on my end. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to deal with 1937 and 1938 first. We're going to take a little break. Then we'll go to 1947, 1948. There are, 5 categories. Best movie, best director, best actress, best actor, and best monster. We put up a ballot, let people vote on it. It was open to everybody. There was a write-in category as well. If you wanted to write something in, you could. I'm going to announce the nominees. Going to ask Steve who he thought won. We'll announce the winner.
Sounds good.
There were up to 6 nominees per category. If you wanted to, you could do a write-in vote. We had some write-in votes, but nothing really of no upsets or anything like that. So let's see. What was eligible? Horror, fantasy, and science fiction movies. Basically, any monster movie or genre picture became eligible. And boy, we really stretched the definition and scraped the bottom of the barrel for some of this.
Well, and sometimes we actually scraped up rather than scraping down.
That's true. When I say scrape the bottom of the barrel, I mean Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is not bottom of the barrel material. But it's not what you think of when you think Monster Kid material.
The pickings, as you may remember, were just very, very thin. And
Slim.
That was because of a change in the industry, including a U.S. guy that was on the film boards that convinced the filmmakers in the U.S. that horror films would no longer be accepted into Great Britain at the end of the 30s and into the early part of the 40s, as I recall. So U.S. filmmakers just kind of stopped making monster movies.
Now, they still played with some genre stuff. There were plenty of ghost movies, but nothing horror, So
right.
Anyway, let's dive into this, shall we? Let's start with 1937 and 1938, the best movie nominees. We had 6 of them. The Black Doll, Night Key, A Night of Terror, The Octopus, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and Topper.
Which has ghosts.
What a weird mix. Yeah, it has ghosts. What a weird mix of movies here, man. The Octopus and Topper in the same category. All right, cool. We got some Karloff, we got some Basil Rathbone, we got Cary Grant. All right, who do you think won, Steve?
Who do I think won and who should have won? I think are the real questions. I'm thinking Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs should have won, and I think it probably did win, although Topper is a really, really good film. To recap a little bit about the others, and I did manage to see all of them. I think we have a Voodoo Doll one, we have Boris Karloff as a mad scientist, we have Basil Rathbone basically playing the kind of character from a Hitchcock film who's marrying women to seemingly a nice guy to kill them. So, like, Suspicion, is it? That has Cary Grant and Joan Fontaine in it. The Octopus is kind of a weird mystery thing with a sudden monster return at the end, and Topper, which is about two friendly ghosts that pester a man after they're killed in a car crash, I think, as I remember. So I'm thinking Snow White should win, and I think it probably did win. That's my guess.
You're correct, 52% of the vote. So more than half of the viewers and voters voted for Snow White. Topper came in second with 13% of the vote. We had one write-in for Lost Horizon, which I know we talked a little bit about when we did the nominees. So
Yep, and it's in the next category too. So
yep,
we may talk about it again.
So next category, Best Director, 6 nominees. We had Frank Capra for Lost Horizon, Lloyd Corrigan for Night Key, Walt Disney and Company for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Interesting point, Walt Disney is not listed as the director of the film, but it's Walt Disney.
Right.
Roland V. Lee for Night of Terror, William C. McGann for The Octopus, and Norman Z. MacLeod for Topper.
Now, again, I'm going to guess that Walt Disney should win. That's the likely winner. Though, if you've seen Lost Horizon, you know that Frank Capra, well, he's a force to be reckoned with almost any time he sits behind the lens. He was really terrific. And Norman Z. MacLeod probably is also really good. But Walt Disney Snow White is a classic. Most of these are semi-classics, or some of them are, especially since we expanded the categories. But I'm thinking probably Snow White did win, and probably it should win, though it might be a toss-up between Disney and Capra for the director.
Well, you're right on all counts because there was a tie. Walt Disney and Company and Capra both took home Best Director. Each one had 39.1% of the vote.
I think it's really interesting that though our audience is generally monster kids, clearly they've seen some of these kind of non-monster kid fantasy movies.
Sure.
I'm glad that the audience has actually seen it and has responded well to it. It's a great film.
All right, so we're going to move on to Best Actress, 6 nominees. And I'll tell you, the voting on this was probably the most evenly spread that I've seen for any category this time around.
I can
Best
imagine
Actress
that,
nominees.
Just looking over the field again. It's like, yeah.
Oh, man. Constance Bennett for Topper. Billy Burke for Topper. Adriana Casoletti, did I say that correctly?
Probably. I don't know if I've ever heard it.
She was the voice for Snow White.
Yep, that wonderful, strange, high voice.
Elspeth Dudgeon, which I may have mispronounced, but she's the old woman who does the transformation in The Octopus. We got Nan Gray from The Black Doll, and then Lucille Laverne from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as well. And she's the witch,
she's
right?
The Wicked Queen. So,
yeah.
And for me, I'm pretty sure I voted for her because she's awesome. She's got this great voice. And my guess would be that she probably won and probably should win. But again, when you start throwing in Constance Bennett, Billy Burke, on top of, people love Snow White just for, the voice actress and the motion capture that they did with that, which would have been a form of rotoscoping.
Yeah.
It's hard. But I voted for Lucille Laverne, and we'll see what the rest of you did.
Well, Topper took it over because both Topper actresses came in tied.
Wow. Good for them.
So Constance Bennett and Billy Burke, 21.7% of the vote each. All the others were 13%, with the exception of Casoletti, who was at like 17% of the vote. So
cool.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, that is very interesting.
Very interesting.
It's like we had, in some sense, expanding the categories has seemed to make them maybe a little more evensome than they might otherwise be sometimes. Yeah. Cool.
So we're going to move on to Best Actor, another 6 nominees in this case. We had Ronald Colman from Lost Horizon, Cary Grant from Topper, Boris Karloff from Night Key, Basil Rathbone from A Night of Terror, Todd Slaughter from It's Never Too Late to Mend, and Roland Young from Topper. I love that we were able to, I did the ballot, so I get to make the call. Todd Slaughter, Boris Karloff, Basil Rathbone. I would have loved to see the 3 of them team up in something.
Yeah, no, that would have been terrific. And I actually managed.
Interesting
I
category.
managed to catch up, I think, with all of the nominees from this year since we actually did the nominees, and there were a bunch I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen Never Too Late to Mend, Never Too Late to Lend, Never Too Late to Mend, which is a fairly typical Todd Slaughter. I'm the evil guy looking to marry the young woman and gain a fortune kind of thing. And Todd is so wonderful in these films.
Oh, he's great.
It's interesting to see Rathbone as kind of a dastardly lady killer, again, playing the kind of Suspicion. Pretty sure it's Suspicion. It's one of these. Hitchcock did too many one-word titles, and it's like, Suspicion's the one with Cary Grant, right? Yeah, I think so. Him playing what would later be the Cary Grant role in that. It may have even been based on the same story. I didn't research it that far. Karloff is always great. Ronald Coleman, he's fabulous. But Cary Grant is in this category.
So who do you think, man? Who do you think took it?
I think he should win, and he probably did win. I'm pretty sure, even though Boris, I'll always vote for Boris in almost anything. I'm like, it's Cary Grant, man. I gotta vote.
Well, and they have that Arsenic and Old Lace connection, too.
That's true.
Where Cary Grant was in the film version and Karloff did the stage, and just, well, Cary Grant won by one vote. One ahead of Karloff.
Wow. It may have been my vote.
Right?
I wouldn't swear. Like I said, usually I'll vote for Karloff anytime, but Cary Grant is Cary Grant. Cary Grant is Cary Grant.
So, final category, Best Monster. And this time around, we only had 4 nominees. We tried, folks. We tried real hard, and this time we did kind of just grasp for straws.
Even with 2 years combined, it was really tough to come up with things that would qualify as monsters for our audience.
Even I wouldn't even. I don't know if I were doing this today, I wouldn't have included the Ghost of Topper as one of the nominees because they're not monsters. I mean, they're ghosts, but they're not. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're on the ballot, as is the Witch from the Octopus, and then 2 representatives from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Evil Queen, and the Raven. Man, we tried so hard to come up with something. We started grasping for feathers,
What, were we
man,
gonna
and put the Raven on the
doll
ballot.
from the Black Doll?
Oh, boy, it was a challenge, wasn't it?
The evil Westerners from Lost Horizon. Where could we go with this? I suppose we could have put Basil Rathbone in from the film he was in, because he was definitely a villain. But does he tip over into a monster from Night of Terror?
I don't know.
Only in the 37 and 38 would we even consider doing that. So I probably voted for the Evil Queen, and I'm thinking she probably won and probably deserves to win, despite the really terrific end of the film sudden reveal of the witch in Shh, the Octopus. And
so in this
who
case,
doesn't love that title?
It's a great title, and the transformation, oh my. I love it. That transformation is so good.
It's really surprising when it happens, because it's all done in camera.
Yeah.
There are no special effects. It's all, switching from red lighting to green lighting, or the other way around, however they did it. It's just like bang.
Brilliant.
Very Dr. Jekyll and
Brilliant.
Mr. Hyde. It's fabulous.
Same technique, yeah. And so good that it actually resonated enough with the listeners and the voters. The Witch did come on by 1 vote more than the Evil Queen. So it looks like the viewers were like, yeah, the Evil Queen's not monster enough. We need that transformation.
And I hear that. In some sense, the Witch is the only actual classic monster on the list. So, although the Evil Queen does turn into a witch. So,
True.
You do have that. And
True.
she is a witch. She's an evil sorceress or a witch, depending upon which form you prefer her in. So, very cool. Well, that's really interesting. That is there's some things I didn't expect there.
I love that we did include some of the more, for lack of a better term, classy film entries.
You could have gone with esoteric.
Okay.
Even though they're it's like our films are esoteric to the larger audiences, and the larger audience films are esoteric to us. So
right.
There you go.
All right. Well, before we move on to 1947, 1948, Steve.
Yes.
What's going on with Atomic Tales, man?
Atomic Tales is going strong. I am working on chapter 19, episode 19. Of course, all of them are self-contained. Well, there's one with a cliffhanger, but they're going really well. I'm having a blast writing it. I'm going to be writing it for a while now, assuming life will catch me a break for a little while. The one I'm working on should be out at the start of next month, assuming everything goes well for Christopher Mim and the artists that we record with. And so you can read it, or you can listen to it, or you can do both. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done, because it's a new short story every time, featuring ongoing characters and ideas, and a behind-the-scenes big arc, which, now that I've got a little bit of time and have finished first drafts on some of my other books, I'll now be able to hopefully forge ahead and get the big arcs and probably most of the book done on Atomic Tales. That's my goal, but, cross your fingers and see how it goes.
This just came up in the chat, too. Will there be a book release for Atomic Tales?
There totally will be a book release for Atomic Tales.
Excellent. So for listeners who don't know, or viewers who don't know, Atomic Tales is an old-time radio show written by Steve, produced by Chris Mim of St. Euphoria Pictures. And Chris, the giant spider attacking the moon zombies, he's one of us, and he knows what he's doing. Does he do the production, the post-production?
Yeah, he does all the post-production
okay.
on it. Often he is the narrator. We have Chris and two other people, Rachel Grubb and Stephanie Mim, trade off duties as the narrator in any given month, and then a lot of guest voices that come in and do read various parts, a lot of which are ongoing parts. So we've got Penny Dreadful is one of the other people that does an ongoing part. My wife is doing a new character that appeared in one of the recent shows that is an ongoing part. In theory, I have an ongoing part too, but it's a character that doesn't speak much. And Chris was like, "It's your time to do one of them, Steve." And I'm like, "Well, thank God it's the one that doesn't say much."
If you are a fan of what I think is an underrated, underserved trilogy of films, quote unquote, of Magnetic Monster, Gog, and what's the other one?
The space one.
It's the one that's co-directed by Richard Carlson.
Right,
which is
he
really
stars
cool.
in it too, and it's often seen in black and white, though it's an actual. There's a color print as well. So what is the name?
Was it released in color?
Oh yeah, I've seen it in color.
Wow.
Yeah, Turner played it in color at least once, and I'm pretty sure that I've got it in color, and it's Voyage into Space, Edge into Space. What is it?
Riders to the
Stars.
Stars.
There it is, Riders to the Stars. That's it.
Riders to the Stars. Basically, it's this trilogy of film. The first two in particular are very connected by this. Gog isn't as connected, but it still has some of it. It's basically this kind of, what do they call it?
The OSI trilogy.
The Office of Scientific Investigation, created by Ivan Tors, who did a lot of stuff that us monster kids love. So if you're a fan of those movies, and if you're a fan of, I don't know, it's kind of got like a retro X-Files feel. It's really cool.
But it's a story about UFOs and giant insects and giant other mutant creatures and stuff. So, and there's, there is a backstory that ties it all together. And the heroes are agents at the USSB, otherwise known as the United States Science Bureau. And they travel across the country and look into various strange goings-on. So, and encountered, they've encountered things like lots of giant ants. So there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them in there. And we had a 50-foot woman in one. And there's going to be a blob in one of the coming up ones. And just about anything that I think would be cool from the 50s is getting thrown in, and then there will be a follow-up series to it too, in theory. First, I have to get through the current series, and as I said, I think we're working on 19, and there's probably at least that many more to come.
Right on. Now, we have aired some of them on Monster Kid Radio, but to get them brand new, first run, you got to listen to the Mimiverse audio podcast. And
Yep, that comes out right around the 1st of the month, every month, sainteuphoria.com.
Link in the show notes. Check that out. Catch up with Atomic Tales. Eventually, we'll rerun them on Monster Kid Radio, but obviously we want to give them their time to shine as a first run on Chris's podcast, which is really cool. And whenever you get the book done, man, dude, readers, check it out. Because y'all should be reading Steve's books anyway.
I know, I've got like 5 books, 6 books in productions or something like that now.
In the meantime, check out Steve's library of books. Pick up any and all of them if you haven't already done so. stsullivan.com is the best place to find everything going on with Steve. Check out all of his stuff or look him up on Amazon or whatever. I'm constantly playing ads for his stuff on the movie streams and running stuff in the podcast as well. So just, support the Monster Kid. Support us. All right, so I did say that I'd mention the eBay auctions that I've been running. I've been running a ton of eBay auctions lately, and y'all have been coming out in full force for me, and I really appreciate it. I have been moving a lot of product. That's kind of what I'm looking at it as right now, which has not only helped me pay some medical bills, but actually allowed me to get my rent paid a little bit early, so that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. I will be putting more material up on eBay over the next several weeks. I haven't done this yet. I've started listing a few things, but I'm going to be really doing a deep dive on CD soundtracks coming up here on eBay. So those will be coming, including some Ultraman type soundtracks. So that's on the way. And then also, I'm probably going to dive into some of my press kits and lobby cards. They've been in a box ever since I moved here. And before I moved to this place, they were in a box at that place. They're not up on the walls. I'm not enjoying them. Maybe y'all will enjoy them. So I've got press kits, I've got lobby cards coming that I'm going to be putting on eBay as well. So all sorts of cool stuff coming. I'm looking forward to just getting some of this stuff out to places and to people that are going to enjoy it. All right, so check this out. We've got this Ultraman CD. I cannot read it, but it's got Ultraman music on it. I'm going to be putting this up for sale on eBay in the near future, so stay tuned for that. Also going to be putting up a soundtrack. Man, this is covered in dust. That's how long ago I've had this out. Ultraman 80. Got a soundtrack album for Ultraman 80 coming.
Very cool. And I may be bidding on some of these things, so you guys can take them away from me, as I always say on the on the weekly contest.
Cool stuff coming.
Get in there.
Cool
Take the stuff
coming
from me.
And I'm doing the CDs relatively cheap because, come on, it's physical media. Anyway, tinyurl.com/MKR eBay, or just look up Brother D73 on eBay, or follow the link in the chat right now.
And as a reminder to people, you've got stuff that's ending in the next hour.
Yeah.
Some of which I'm bidding on. So you have a chance to beat me out on this stuff tonight.
I will combine shipping if we can, if it makes sense to do so. I know that means that you might be hesitant to bid on something if you've already won something else that doesn't expire for a while or whatever. Just drop me a line. I've had so many of you, and I have no problem doing this because I know you're good for it. You won one thing, but you've got 2 auctions going for something else that hasn't ended yet. You want to wait to see if you can get that so you can combine the shipping. Totally cool. Just let me know what's going on.
Yeah, I've done that in the past too. And it works.
All right. Well, let's dive in to the second half of part 1 of the rallies. 1947, 1948. There is a big movie on this list that I have a feeling is going to overshadow everything. But you know what? Let's dive into it anyway. Steve, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. And, it's funny that you say that. And, of course, it's going to come up immediately. And I'm looking at the list and I'm thinking, what a shame that some of these things are on here at the same
against this film
time.
Yeah. All right, well, here we go. In alphabetical order gives us the big movie we're talking about. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Best movie.
This movie, man, oh, so good. Okay. We had an adaptation of The Monkey's Paw, a movie called Portrait of Jenny, and
which
I believe
which I watched again, and it is even better than I remembered it. It's a fabulous film.
It's Joseph Cotton in it, right?
Plays the lead in it, and he's great.
Scared to Death, which is technically the only Bela Lugosi film that he made in color.
Yeah.
A movie called Things Happen at Night, and then
that's the Poltergeist film.
Gotta get some dinosaurs in.
Yeah.
Unknown Island.
Which is one of my personal favorites, and something I don't know if I introduced you to it, but I seem to have introduced a lot of people to it, either through you and the stream or whatever, because it is. I love this film to death. It's
a great film. I think it's a great double feature with King Kong.
Yep.
I think, wow. Yeah, that'd be a fun thing to run together, actually. I can never show King Kong on the stream, but Unknown Island I've shown repeatedly.
Right. Yeah. Make a good double with Son of Kong or Mighty Joe Young too.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
And it's not a bad pairing for The Beast from Hollow Mountain.
Yep.
And
it's got Richard Denning, who's great, and we'll talk about him here in a little bit.
Barton McLean as well. It's
fantastic.
Really, really good.
Well, who do you think won for best movie, Steve?
I think that Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein almost certainly won. It deserves to win, although Portrait of Jenny is probably just as good. That's high praise.
Well, yeah, Abbott and Costello won. It not even a contest. It blew everything out of the water. The only other thing from the ballot that got a vote was Unknown Island, and then somebody did a write-in for an Inner Sanctum.
So, what a surprise. Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein won. The greatest horror comedy of all time wins a Monster Award.
Well, let's go on to Best Director.
I'm shocked.
So we have 6 nominees for Best Director. Charles Barton for Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and Walter Lantz is listed as a co-director on that, but I suspect that he was pretty much the guy who did the animated stuff at the beginning.
Right, yeah. I don't know if he even did the animated transformations for Bela. Maybe.
No, just the titles, I think.
Yeah, I think just the titles. So it's not really, I don't know, but whatever. Walter Lantz, we love him anyway. So yeah, we'll let him share credit. Sure.
Jack Bernard for Unknown Island. Henry Coster for The Bishop's Wife.
Which is a fantasy about Cary Grant as an angel who comes to Earth, and it's a great film if you haven't seen it.
Joseph L. Mankiewicz for The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. George Seaton for Miracle on 34th Street. Boy, we're all over the place. And then Gene Yarborough for The Creeper.
Which actually has a little bit of a monster in it. So it's kind of a suspense thriller, but it does have a kind of a Jekyll and Hyde monster twist at the end. What did the voters say?
Charles Barton won. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm shocked.
All right.
All the other films are really worth seeing, though. Check them out.
Yep. Well, let's go to Best Actress. We have 6 nominees here. Only 5 got votes. Oh, wait. No, only 4 got votes. No, wait. Is that? Oh, no. So few votes. It didn't even turn up on the pie graph. All right. Here are the nominees. Lenore Aubert? Did you say that right? Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Anne Blythe from Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid. We put Virginia Gray on here for 2 movies. Virginia Gray for Unknown Island and Who Killed Doc Robin. Maureen O'Hara for Miracle on 34th Street. Gene Tierney for The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, and Loretta Young for The Bishop's Wife.
I probably voted for Virginia Gray because she was in, because I love Unknown Island, and she was in another one too. But Lenore Aubert is terrific. All these women are terrific in these films.
Lenore won. Almost half the vote.
Not surprisingly.
Let's dive into Best Actor. We have 7 nominees. I couldn't pick just 6. I had to add 1 more. So, here we go. Lon Chaney Jr. from Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Richard Denning from Unknown Island. Santa Claus, Edmund Gwenn from Miracle on 34th Street. Rex Harrison, who's amazing in The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Bela Lugosi for 2 films, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and Scared to Death. Barton McLean from Unknown Island, and Onslow Stevens from The Creeper. Why did we do 7?
I don't know, man. That was you. Because there's just...
All right.
Who we're going to leave out? I mean, all of these are excellent performances. I think Barton McLean's on there. Again, so more people will pay attention to this film because it's a film noir dinosaur picture, folks.
I think you really beat the case for Barton McLean.
And if you can get past the fact that it's men in suits practical effect dinosaurs, which I totally love. If you can get past that, it's a great little dinosaur film.
It is.
So you can even watch one of the guys in the suit collapse from heat prostration during the filming.
Yep.
Boy, this is a toss-up for me. I have voted for Lon Chaney Jr. every time he's appeared as the Wolfman on the rallies, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But this time, he's up against Bela Lugosi, not in Scared to Death, but as Dracula. Only the second time he officially played Dracula in his great long career. You know,
second.
The Dracula.
Second. Yeah, he. I mean, he's
Second
known for
and final
Dracula,
time.
but he played him twice for feature films, and that's it.
Right.
So.
And I think I probably voted for Bela Lugosi, and I think he deserves to win because I think he's awesome as Dracula. He is Dracula. And if we only got to see him do it more, Armand Tesla, if you want to count that one. But there you go.
Dracula and Santa Claus tied for second place. There's a team up I didn't think I kind of wanted. The winner is Lon Chaney Jr.
What a surprise.
Well, he's fantastic. He's so good. His Larry Talbot is just...
It's his best role. You know, it's his best role. He created the role. It's honestly, it's like watching Bela play Dracula. It's how do you pick between them? I tossed a coin. I think I picked Bela because I voted for Lon so many other times, but I'm not surprised.
Well, we are down to our final category for Best Monster. With a movie like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, it dominated this category. Dracula, Frankenstein's Monster, The Wolfman, and Dr. Sandra Mornay.
The evil scientist and later vampire.
Right. Who's fantastic.
She's
also the gorilla from Who Killed Doc Robbins, because you got to have a gorilla somewhere. And finally, the dinosaurs and other monsters from Unknown Island. Boy, what do you think, man?
As much as I love the dinosaurs from Unknown Island, and gorillas are always good in any movie. In fact, we have a gorilla that's called a sloth in Unknown Island. Because I think they didn't want it to be too much of a ripoff of King Kong. Look at the 4 from Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I find myself torn in the same way I was in the last category. Am I voting for Dracula because it is Bela's Dracula, or the Wolfman, who is Creature from the Black Lagoon aside, my favorite Universal monster? I'm guessing the Wolfman won. Maybe Bela should have won, but how can you not vote for the Wolfman when it's being played by either Lawrence Talbot or El Hombre Lobo for Paul Naschy later on? Technically El Hombre Lobo is the Wolfman, so it's not the same character. But yes, I'm thinking that the Wolfman wins.
Actually, it went the other way this time. Dracula gets his comeuppance. Dracula won.
Wow.
Yeah, Dracula won. By one vote. By one vote. Dracula came in.
Vote. I don't remember which way I voted.
43.5% of the vote. But that's it. That's the rallies. Now, later this year, maybe within the next month or two, Steve and I will get together again to do 1957 to 1958. That's going to be an undertaking.
Which I think is going to give us a lot more to do.
Yeah. So that's why this is only part 1. Part 2 is coming later this year. Stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Of course, those of you who stuck around in the stream, not a lot of viewers live, but that's okay. Those of you who are here, thank you. I appreciate you. Otherwise, those of you who are listening at home after the fact, thank you for downloading and listening. And I appreciate you as well.
Count Dracula sleeps in this coffin, but rises every night at sunset. Chick is right. This is awful silly stuff.
Come on, take it all out.
Now! Look out, Chick! Cover up! What's the matter? Cover up! Wait a minute.
the nation's top comics, Abbott and Costello. Petrified, but hilariously. Plus the dangerous and terrifying Wolfman, played by Lon Chaney. Plus that fiend out of a nightmare, the vampire Batman, Count Dracula, played by Bela Lugosi. Plus the most dreaded creature of them all, the Frankenstein monster, played by Glenn Strange. Plus a couple of luscious but designing females in the spookiest laugh fest on record.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Monster Kid Radio. I want to thank you for being here. Thanks for downloading the show. Thanks for checking everything out. Means a lot to have you here. If you are somebody who watched the announcement of the Rally Awards this past Wednesday night, thank you for being there as well. Now, what happened that night was filled with a lot of technical issues, and I tried to edit around a lot of that for this episode of the podcast. But, you know, things happen. It was live. I'm trying to do better, and I think moving forward, if we're going to do any more live episodes of Monster Kid Radio like that, we're really going to have to come up with some other solutions. I don't know if that means using some other technology for the guests to come in. I don't know. But it was fun to do. Only had a few viewers, but for those of you who were there, thank you. I appreciate you. That happened on the stream over at twitch.tv/MonsterKidRadio. You know what's happening on the stream this Saturday? It's Dick Miller Day. That's right, we're going to be honoring Dick Miller. The man has done over 180 TV shows and films, and a lot of those things are things that we love. Monster movies. Not all of them I can show on the stream, but some of them I can, like Bucket of Blood, War of the Satellites, The Terror. I think we're even going to sneak in the original Little Shop of Horrors. No, I know he wasn't the lead in that, but he's in it, and it's something that we can show, and it's a fun movie anyway. So, check out the stream, twitch.tv/MonsterKidRadio, this Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific for the pre-show. The movies themselves start around noon. And join the Monster Kid community. Always a good time. It's the only time I'm going to encourage you to chat during a film because there's a live chat happening the entire day. Typically around 6-ish or so p.m. Pacific. I pop in live and we hang out and then we watch one more movie. It's fun. I enjoy doing it and enjoy sharing movies and being part of, well, the community that you helped build. Now, on Tuesday, we do something similar. Around 3:30 p.m. Pacific, so when the pre-show kicks off. And then around 4 o'clock, the movies start. And this time around, the Monster Kid Astronomy Club, where we normally show science fiction films, is transforming, reverting back to the Monster Kid Cliffhanger Club. We're going to be kicking off some brand new to the stream, serials. Serial cliffhangers, man. It's a fun subgenre to just kind of wallow around in and hang out in. I love it, and I'm hoping that you love it too, especially since this Tuesday we're going to be showing the first half of the entire run of the serials Dick Tracy vs. Crime, Inc. and The New Adventures of Tarzan. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So come back for that. Also, I do like to pop in live a little bit there as well. So around the same time, 6-ish, as soon as I get off work, basically, I hop on and we hang out. So head over to that. What's coming up on the podcast next week? I have no idea because I'm still trying to book some guests. However, I can guarantee you there will be an episode of Monster Kid Radio next week, and there will be a special guest. That's all I got. I know it drives Skinny nuts when I don't have something lined up so he can start preparing a Famous Monster segment, but I promise something is coming. Something is coming. Head over to MonsterKidRadio.net to learn everything you need to know about Monster Kid Radio between episodes. Everything's there. Links to the Twitch stream that I mentioned, our Twitter, our Reddit, our Discord, our Facebook page and Facebook group, and our Twitch, as well as links to everything that we've talked about here in the show. I will make sure there's a link to Stephen D. Sullivan's page and a handful of his books in the show notes over there as well. Please, if you consider picking up any of his books, follow the link over at monsterkidradio.net to get to Amazon to buy the books, because if you follow that link, it helps us out. We're an Amazon affiliate, and it takes like maybe a nickel out of Jeff Bezos's pocket and throws it into the Monster Kid Radio coffers, and believe you me, every little bit helps. I'll also make sure there's a link to my ongoing eBay listings. I've got a whole bunch of stuff going up on eBay. I have been amazed by how much people are supporting me on eBay by picking up some pretty cool stuff. And I'll just tell you, I've got too much stuff on my shelves and in boxes and not enough stuff in my bank account. So check us out on eBay. I will be posting a number of CD soundtracks on Saturday at the very least. There's going to be even more stuff coming. It's been awesome. It makes me feel good to kind of share this stuff that I haven't been able to enjoy for whatever reason for so long with you. The only other big bit of news that I want to share with you is that if you are in the Portland, Oregon area, yeah, I know I'm in Vancouver now, but I'm going to be heading down to Portland on Saturday, July 9th, because at the Hollywood Theater, they are showing a 35mm print of Conan the Barbarian, the original, the 1982 film, 9 p.m. I'm going to be there. My girlfriend's going to be there. There's a good chance that some of you that I've spoken with on Facebook are going to be there as well. And you know what? I may even bring my portable recorder, and I may even record something for the show, because we will soon be getting the double feature, the double header, the two hits? Is that a phrase? The double shot? We're going to get our Conan on, because we're going to be talking about Conan the Barbarian here on Monster Kid Radio with Steve Turek, and then Conan the Destroyer, we're going to talk about that movie over on Steve Turek's podcast, the Diecast Movie Podcast. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm especially excited because I'm going to be re-recording my conversation with Steve Turek about Conan the Barbarian. We had an epic conversation a while back, and some of the audio didn't work out, and I've since misplaced that audio file. The file is gone. I don't know what happened to it. So Steve has agreed to re-record that with me. So we're going to be getting our Conan on. Is Conan a monster kid movie? Is it a monster movie? Well, there are monsters in it. And I do love me some Robert E. Howard, and I know a handful of you do too. So we'll be coming at it from a monster kid point of view when we talk about it. Anyway, if you're in the area, July 9th, 9 p.m., the Hollywood Theater. I don't know what kind of ticket sales they're doing right now. I don't even know which screen they're going to be showing it at, so I don't know how many seats are even left. But if you're going to be there, look for me. I'll be wearing a Monster Collage Hawaiian shirt. Yeah, I think that's what I call it. Monster Collage Hawaiian shirt. It was that limited edition shirt that I was selling there for a little while, and it may be coming back later this year. So if you missed your opportunity then, it's coming back. So in the meantime, other Monster Kid Radio shirts you can pick up, just head over to our TeePublic shop. They're actually doing a sale right now, $14 for a t-shirt. And I've got all sorts of designs over there. A lot of them are based on episodes of Monster Kid Radio. A lot of them are just what I think are pretty cool pieces of art that I've thrown together. Anyway, go check it out. It's at TeePublic. There's a link in the show notes, or just go to teepublic.com/stores/Monster Kid Radio. One more thing. I mentioned my girlfriend a second ago, and she actually had this idea. So this is all on her, and I love her for it, and for other reasons too. But this is an idea that she had, and I love it. I have been showing her some of my favorite movies. She's going to be showing me some of her favorite movies too, and she has. But, you know, my movies are the monster movies, and I love sharing them with people, and I love sharing them with the people that I care about. So I've shown her Creature from the Black Lagoon and The Monster Squad. Well, she looked at me after that and suggested that I put the call out to you, dear listeners. What is the next monster movie I should show her? She is a geek. She is a nerd. She loves her Star Wars. We really have been enjoying Star Trek lately. She's a single mom, and her kids were prime age for all the Harry Potter stuff that came out. So she's got a strong geek and nerd chunk of her. I don't know where I'm going with this. Bottom line is, I love my nerdy girlfriend, and I want to share with her some of my monster movies. what is the next movie I should show her. Now, I want to put some parameters on here. Actually, just one. No Manos, The Hands of Fate. I love Manos, The Hands of Fate. Unironically, y'all know this, but it is an acquired taste, or it's not an easy movie to love unironically. I know this. I know that my point of view with that movie is a little skewed and a little different and a little influenced by the fact that I thought I was going to be a filmmaker when I grew up and a whole bunch of other things. But I love that movie. I'm not going to show that to Beth. I feel like if I'm going to continue sharing my love of monster movies with her, I really need to be selective with what I share with her, because I don't, well, quite frankly, I don't want to scare her off. So, Manos is off the table. What should I put on the table? What is the next movie? Do I show her a Hammer film? She's not overly familiar with Hammer films. Do I deep dive into the Universal stuff again? Do I show her a kaiju film? I don't know. What do you think? Her suggestion was ask you, and then after she and I watch it, she's going to come on the podcast and we're going to talk about it. I'm excited for this. I think this will be really cool. I'm excited to get her on the show. I'm excited to share her with my podcast, or my podcast with her. You know what? I'm just excited because Beth is an incredibly special person to me. I think she's an amazing individual. She works for a haunted house. She is one of the high muck. She's a manager at PDX Scaregrounds here in Portland. They pay her to design haunted houses. How cool is that? So yeah, I want to share her with the show, or the vice versa. I did it again. I don't know. I just want her to be part of the world, that world. I'm not going to sing a Disney song, but I am so in love with her that I get all flustered and kerfluffered and tongue-tied when I start talking about her. So why don't I just remind you how you can get a hold of the show, Monsters in the Machine. Do your job. You've had a week off.
You can call and leave a voicemail for Monster Kid Radio at 503-810-5MKR. That's 503-810-5657.
Or you can send an email to the podcast. monsterkidradio@gmail.com is the email address. That's monsterkidradio@gmail.com.
Any comments about the show, any input, feedback, suggestions for what movie to show Beth? I'd love to hear it. Until next week, Monster Kid Radio is a registered service mark of Monster Kid Radio LLC for just a little bit longer. All original content of Monster Kid Radio by Monster Kid Radio LLC is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 3.0 unported license. Of course, it doesn't apply to the song Kashyyyk Beach Party. That is copyright 2016. The Hatari Hanzo Surf Experience. My name is Derek M. Cook. For Steve, for Mark, for Kenny, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao.